Yes, I'm Rena Heinen. We begin with a looming shakeup in the Trump administration. CBS News has confirmed that Rex Tillerson is on his way out as Secretary of State as his relationship with President Trump continues to be strained. He's likely to be replaced by CIA Director Mike Pompeo. The story was first reported by the New York Times, which says Senator Tom Cotton is likely to be tapped to take over Pompeo's job at the CIA. But the White House says it has no personnel announcement at this time. Kylie Atwood is a CBS News reporter for the State Department. Kylie, what can you tell us about this shakeup and how is it being orchestrated?
So, Rena, we know that there is a plan underway at the White House right now that would take out Rex Tillerson, remove him from his job as Secretary of State, and put Director of the CIA, Mike Pompeo, in his place. Now, that hasn't been approved by the president yet, and it still has a certain number of puzzle pieces that need to be figured out. The primary one there would be who is going to take over as Director of the CIA. And CBS has learned that there are a number of names under consideration for that job. And one of those is U.S. Senator Tom Cotton, who is seen as an ally with President Trump. He's someone who is tough on Iran, which Trump is also tough on. And there's also the former U.S. Deputy Commander of Central Command, Robert Harward. And he is also someone who President Trump has met with in the past. And so they are the two names that are being considered as this transition is starting to be orchestrated from the White House.
Kylie, you talk about the transition. Do we have a sense of timeline for Tillerson's departure?
We don't. CBS News has heard different timelines, January or potentially February, for when Tillerson would be asked to depart his post. But the New York Times, as you said, is reporting that this could happen within a few weeks. And so this is something that clearly the White House is actively working on, and they're trying to figure out when would be the most appropriate time. But I want to point out that just next week, Tillerson is slated to head overseas. He's meeting with NATO partners. He's carrying on with his schedule as Secretary of State, and that could prove for some awkward conversations with all of this news that the White House is starting to push him out the door.
Yeah, of course, they're probably reading all that as well. I want to ask you, though, about the president's relationship with Tillerson. We know that it's been strained for months. Can you just remind us and give us a sense of the issues and the back and forth with them? And do we have a sense, is this a result of that?
Well, it obviously contributes to it, right? So we have a president who has time and time again kind of taken this secretary out at his knees. So earlier this year, he tweeted that Rex Tillerson was wasting his time on North Korea. And Tillerson has been an advocate of pushing for diplomacy in solving the problem of North Korea and its provocations in terms of nuclear testing and missile launches. We also heard from Rex Tillerson after President Trump blamed both sides when there was violence in Charlottesville, saying that, both sides, both the white nationalists and their opposition, were to blame. And Tillerson said, when he was asked about that, he said the president speaks for himself. And Tillerson also gave a speech in which he basically laid out the fact that hate is not an American value. So we have seen growing tension between the president and his Secretary of State throughout the last few months.
So what exactly are the qualifications for Director Pompeo for the top diplomat spot?
Right. So Director Pompeo, obviously, he's, the top guy at the CIA right now. He really understands the foreign policy of the U.S. and the intelligence behind that foreign policy. He was formerly a congressman from Kansas, a Republican congressman. He also graduated top of his class from West Point. He served in the U.S. Army. And so he is seen as someone who's widely respected in terms of, international policy and building that policy. And he's also been a proponent of this president, and he has a direct line to that president right now, and he is someone who takes a tough stance. Earlier this year, he had a public event where he said that the U.S. should be acting as if North Korea is on the cusp of having a nuclear weapon, and so that goes hand in hand with the tough stance, that the harsh language that we have seen this president use in regard to North Korea.
Kylie Atwood coming to us from our Washington bureau. Kylie, thank you.